From an earthquake right in the middle of a bridge. From a stunt that went wrong in midair. To a plane in trouble. These are 5 shocking moments caught on camera. Number 1. Clinton, North Carolina, home to around 8,000 people, is a small city in Sampson County, many of whom send their kids to Unona School. January 13, 2020, started as a typical Monday. Some 5th grade students were on the basketball court when a strange storm appeared out of nowhere. It sounded like something had exploded outside, and everyone started running. Look at the red curtain. At first, everything seems fine, but then the wind picks up and the roof starts coming off. It quickly collapses, sending a classroom of debris toward the fleeing children. Once the storm calms down, you can see what remains of the torn curtain. Microbursts are sudden columns of air that sink and can cause damage similar to that of a hurricane. In this case, wind speeds reached 180 kilometers per hour. It was enough to knock down the wall and uproot several trees outside. 3 children were hit by debris, but only suffered minor injuries. Number 2. Vinh, Vietnam, is one of the country's most important cities, serving as a critical point in the East-West economic corridor, connecting Vietnam with Laos, Thailand, and Myanmar. It's a bustling city, constantly looking to expand through construction. On September 10, 2023, one of these construction projects tie his shoe. According to the homeowner, the construction team acted responsibly. On the roof. Number 3. Kemerovo is one of the most urbanized regions in Russia, with 70% of the population living in one of its 9 major cities. When city life becomes too hectic, some prefer to venture into the Russian countryside for some extreme skiing. On December 23, 2022, 2 Russian friends put on their ski boots and hit the slopes. The uncharted terrain makes backcountry skiing even more dangerous, and only the best should attempt it. These guys may have been professionals, but they were no match for Mother Nature when she sent an avalanche their way. Look at your towel, sir.
Блядь, тут лавина аж идет.
Dude, there are 3. There are 3.
Блядь, там
And
смотри,
me.
смотри.
There,
Идет.
there.
Стоим. Дядя!
What do you want?
Где? Стой, стой. Дыши. Дыши, тихо, тихо, тихо. Все, тихо. Я испугался. Тихо, 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 тихо. Все нормально, все нормально. Тихо. Ой, держись.
This man had never been so happy to see his friend's face. You can hear the panic in his voice with every breath. You can also see that the snow was so tightly packed around his arm that he couldn't move it. Luckily, his friend wasn't buried and was able to find him in the snow. After a brief conversation about how lucky they were, both men began to dig themselves out.
Вторая нога где? Под ней. Фу, сейчас подожди, палку.
You can imagine how quickly claustrophobia kicks in. During something like this, just watching this video is enough to give you goosebumps. Number 4, it only took the Wright brothers 10 years from their first flight, for people to start getting into aerial stunts. In 1913, a French pilot was the first to fly inverted, and that same year, a Russian pilot completed the first loop. Since then, planes have become faster, and stunts even more dangerous. Now modern pilots love to see how far they can push the limits. Take, for example, these pilots in Bangladesh, who may have gone a little too far. On September 5, 2024, in the distance, you can see a Yakovlev Yak-130 approaching at lightning speed, and it's then when the pilot tries to pull off a risky triple aileron roll, but ends up bouncing off the asphalt. Just as the second roll is about to finish, his fuselage scrapes the ground. The pilot managed to take off, but his Russian-made plane couldn't handle it. It flew over the Karnafuli River, and the pilot ejected as the engine caught fire. Beside Daisy, unfortunately, one of the pilots lost his life in the crash, while the other was in critical condition. Before this video was released, the Bangladesh Air Force tried to claim that the plane had a mechanical failure, but this footage exposed the lie and showed that an unnecessary stunt was to blame. Yunnan province is the largest state in south-central China. On July 2, 2024, a man was outside in Yunnan. Shortly after a major snowstorm, hundreds of kilos of ice and snow had accumulated on the roof above him. Luckily for him, his spidey senses kicked in when he heard something break. It seems this wasn't his first rodeo. He knew to get out of the way. As soon as he heard the sound, most people would have just looked up. Number 1. Alpharetta. Georgia is a small city in Fulton County, about 50 kilometers north of Atlanta. It's home to approximately 50,000 people, and a mother who is extremely quick. On October 7, 2020, a mom was relaxing and reading near the pool while her kids swam, when she suddenly heard something cracking above her head.
Oh my God! Holy crap! Oh my God! You okay? I almost died.
Her backyard security cameras caught the rest. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! The tree landed right on top of the chair. If she had hesitated for even a fraction of a second, things would have ended badly. In fact, it was so heavy that it bent the metal fence. Behind the chair, you can also see when the son noticed the tree was about to fall and told his mom to get out of the way. This picture shows how terrifying it could have been. The tree fell right where her head had been resting. Number 5. Every year, glacier enthusiasts from all over the world flock to Greenland to witness one of Mother Nature's most extravagant shows, the calving of glaciers. Calving occurs when huge chunks of ice fall from these gigantic ice walls and crash into the water. They are very unpredictable, which means you have to be in the right place at the right time. July 19, 2022, an Australian tourist along with a young man and his uncle went to see a glacier up close in Ilulissat, Greenland. The trio set out hoping to witness a live calving event. They got what they wanted, and then some.
Oh! Wow! 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 Rồi nha. Are you alright? Ấm ơi. Chừng rồi đó.
It's not every day you escape from a glacier tsunami. They were very lucky. Those icy waters are the last place you'd want to capsize.
This is the wildest thing I've ever tried in my life.
Even though he's from Greenland, the cameraman had never seen anything like this. The calving of glaciers almost always causes tsunami waves, but the dangerous part is that they can happen at any moment. Number 6, Hamburg. New York is a small city south of Buffalo. It's home to about 70,000 people who are used to the icy winds blowing from Lake Erie in winter. For some, it's a beautiful city. For others, especially those in the Hoover Beach neighborhood, it's a winter nightmare. It was late February 2020 when hurricane-force winds sent massive waves crashing against the shore. The freezing conditions caused ice to form over the houses. It may look fake, but what you're seeing is 100% real.
Crystal Beach.
According to the Weather Channel, winds blew at 60 kilometers per hour for about 48 hours straight. Since it was 28°C, the wind and water froze the houses almost instantly. You're looking at ice layers over 3 meters deep. When the ice began to melt, homeowners were worried. 3.5 meters of ice is pretty heavy, but luckily the houses emerged unscathed. Number 7, imagine you're having a quiet afternoon in your backyard in Hawaii. When the ground starts shaking, cracks appear around your house, and molten hot lava begins to pour out. It devours everything: trees, fences, and your house. In May 2018, Mount Kilauea erupted, and it was so strong that it reached several homes. This family saw a 2,000-degree wall of lava.
Dip that runs like this and then it drops down.
Oh, this is as close as I'm going. Crazy.
Luckily, the lava moved slowly enough that everyone was able to evacuate in time. As long as these people kept their distance, the eruption didn't pose a direct danger to them.
It's so sad. Yet so amazing. It's now about 7:50 a.m. May 6th, 2018.
Eventually, the cameraman did the smart thing and moved away from the lava flow. It may be moving slowly, but it can grow quickly and trap you. He said none of this lava was there at 3:30 a.m. And by 7:50, the story was completely different.
Oh, look at that coming out of the wall right there. Ooh, yeah, all right. Oh man, what's this is gonna be interesting.
I'm way at the end kind of, so I got time to fit it. The lake is going down all the way now, so.
A powerful magnitude 6.9 earthquake set all this in motion. It caused Mount Kilauea to erupt and opened fissures around Big Island. The lava consumed 26 homes and forced the evacuation of more than 2,000 people. Have you ever heard what lava sounds like up close?
That's the stuff right there, folks.
Number 8. The Barguzin is a 500 km long river that flows through eastern Siberia. It's a popular spot for Russian hunters seeking more challenging animals like wolves, bears, boars, and giant deer. But on November 17, 2018, these hunters did the opposite. Alexei, Ava, and Luba were out hunting when they received a call about an animal that was drowning. A deer was trapped in a frozen section of the river. Alexei and his friends, armed with chainsaws and rope, began cutting a path to dry, warm land. It took some time and a lot of patience, but Alexei and the crew finally brought the deer to solid ground. Getting it out of the water was no easy task. Caspian red deer can weigh up to 300 kilograms. It's not Friday.
Видно, бедный.
А что такое?
Костер?
А из спичек?
А? Конечно, и разминать. Сколько часов он просидел-то? Мять надо его.
The deer was clinging to life. To try and warm up its limbs, the men started massaging its legs and rubbing its belly. Eventually, they lit a fire to keep it warm.
Пойдешь, так пойдешь. Что? Во-во-во, начал помалеху. Подтягивает. А? Не жмет ему ничего, что ему обожгет, вы кого говорите? Пусть. Хорошо, пусть теплом обдает ноги. Вот, Серега, ты-то попал, ага, надо же в такую историю. Иди туда, но там теплее, ветер туда дует. Но быстро проходи. О, подтягивать начал.
Those small movements were a good sign, but the deer still needed help. The crew wrapped it in blankets and put it on a sled, then towed the animal back to town and placed it inside a warm garage. Then they did the most Russian thing possible. They fed it deer fat and gave it a few shots of vodka to warm it up from the inside. All this work paid off. The deer got up that night and returned to the forest the next morning.
В объектив лучше видно. Нет, я вообще не взяла с собой. Фоткай.
Watching their new friend leave was hard. but they all felt a little warmer inside. They gathered to take pictures, knowing they had saved a life instead of taking one. Number 9. It was May 20th, 2023. Pauloza and his girlfriend were paddleboarding off the coast of Puerto Madryn, Argentina, when suddenly some unexpected visitors arrived. 3 southern right whales began swimming around them. These massive animals can grow up to 15 meters long and weigh 23,000 kilograms. And although this pair wasn't about to get eaten, you can sense a bit of panic behind Paulo's smile.
Tranqui, tranqui, tranqui. No pasa nada, no pasa nada. Son 3.
One of these whales seems to wave at Paulo and his girlfriend. Do you want to swim?
¿Quieres nadar?
Quiero salir para ti.
Tranquilos, tranquilos. Mira el ojo.
Paulo admitted that in all his years on the water, he'd never seen anything like it. He was excited, but surely clenching tight. If those whales had come any closer, they could have easily knocked them off their board. Luckily, these whales only eat krill, not young Argentinians. Number 5. China. Eastern is one of the country's top 3 airlines and is based in Shanghai. It serves flights to more than 220 destinations. Its fleet of 627 planes is mainly made up of Airbus A320s and Boeing 737 seconds. March 12, 2023. One of those Airbuses had to be grounded. While flying from Shanghai to Hong Kong, one of the turbine blades failed, causing the plane to shake violently. The passengers were so scared that they sat in complete silence. Look how the plane shakes, as if it were going through extreme turbulence. Everything was fine until that moment. The flight left on time, and the flight attendants served breakfast around a.m. It was then that the passengers heard a loud bang on the left side. Luckily, the plane landed in Xiamen, a coastal city between Hong Kong and Shanghai. The intense shaking lasted 20 minutes. From when it started until the plane touched down, everyone got off safely. Number 11. For a long time, professional skydiver Konstantin Petrijuk had always wanted to jump in a car from a plane. In August 2020, he and his friends made that dream come true. They drove near Area 51 to pull off one of the craziest stunts ever attempted. First, the team spent weeks in Texas, modifying a Toyota Corolla FX. Some of these modifications included draining the fluids, removing the engine, and adding a solid base. The only problem was that they had no idea how the car would behave in the air. There was only one way to find out. Suddenly, the car flipped and forcefully ejected the 5 passengers. They deployed their parachutes and watched as their Trump 2020 vehicle plummeted toward the Arizona desert. Some team members suffered minor bruises during the ejection. When the car first leaves the plane, you can see one of them scrape the side. As it spins from end to end, the co-pilot also hit his head when he was thrown out. The good thing is he was wearing a helmet, and the bar was covered with duct tape. Number 12, Clarksville. Tennessee is a city about 70 kilometers northeast of Nashville. On September 12, 2023, a tornado paid them a visit. It passed through rural areas outside the city before intensifying to reach F3 strength. This driver had no idea he was heading into the eye of the storm until it was too late. 25-year-old Cameron was driving through windy and Senton Road. Sinister clouds were looming over him, and a light rain began to fall on his car. Then out of nowhere, an electrical transformer exploded. Debris started falling from the sky as winds of 200 kilometers per hour battered Cameron's car. Another box exploded with bright blue sparks. Cameron said, "Nope, I'm staying here," and turned onto a residential street. But that's when all hell broke loose. Cameron could barely see 3 meters ahead as debris wrecked his car and shattered his windshield. He was lucky not to hit any other vehicles as he drove under bent power lines. Finally, he managed to get out of the danger zone and never looked back. Cameron was a bit shaken, but fortunately unharmed. Number 13. Most people think of dry deserts and intense heat conditions when they think of Arizona. But did you know that Arizona has a monsoon season? It lasts from June to September. High humidity can bring strong storms, heavy rain, hail, and lightning. The city of Flagstaff, Arizona, in 2021, had one of the worst monsoon seasons ever recorded. Storms caused this flash flood. Come on, Max. And the pop was recorded poorly, huh? Similar scenes appeared all over Flagstaff, but that was nothing compared to the kind of floods in Southeast Asia. March 8, 2014, this Vietnamese village was almost wiped out by a massive flash flood. It seems the flood came down from the mountain and eroded the area in front of the building. In the countryside, unfortunately, these things tend to get worse before they get better. Look at how much damage they cause in so little time. If you look closely, you can clearly see buildings and small structures being swept away by the raging torrent of water. It is unclear how much damage the flood caused in total. Number 14. Hualien in Taiwan is a county on the island's east coast. It is home to just under 100,000 people who are well trained in proper earthquake procedures. In fact, the entire city is very well prepared for such events. All that training and preparation was put to the test. On March 4, 2024, when a magnitude 7.3 earthquake shook Taiwan's east coast, drivers crossing a suspension bridge had to hope for the best. When everything started shaking, Luckily, the bridge remained standing. You may have seen viral footage of this building, tilted and floating. In fact, it was one of the few buildings that suffered damage in the city of Hualien. Today, you could walk down other streets and never know that a major earthquake had occurred. This is because Taiwan is no stranger to powerful tremors. Since 1999, significant improvements have been made in the way buildings are constructed. The buildings. They had been waiting for this moment for more than 20 years. All their planning and preparation probably saved thousands of lives that day.